SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe. Supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Good morning, and as you can tell from the atmosphere behind us, the noise echoing around, we are bringing you a very special edition of the iGaming Daily from London, from the opening day of the ICE London conference. But first, a message from our sponsor, Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. 56% of the EGR Power 50 personalised player experiences with Optimove. Visit Optimove here at ICE, mention that you listened to our episode, and you will get an Amazon gift card. And if that's not all, at another special offer, Optimove are offering new clients a free first month when they buy Optimove. For more information and to claim the free month, go to optimove.com/SBC. Links will also be left in the podcast episode description, so check them out. And we are here at the opening day of ICE, and we've drafted in the big guns for a special episode of the iGaming Daily. All the way from Nottingham via Manchester, we've got payment expert editor Ted Orme-Claye. Ted, yeah, obviously we're just kicking things off, but how are you looking forward to the next couple of days?
Yeah, as you say, Joe, I've journeyed many miles all the way from Manchester down to London for this, and it's busy as ever, quite hectic as you'd expect, but hoping to just go around and speak to a lot of people from the payment sector and a few from maybe some of the sort of sports business and media things as well. Just gauge some idea of what people think are ongoing trends, anything that's really going to shape the industry and shape those sectors over the coming year and beyond, really. Brilliant.
And speaking of travelling many miles, here today from Brazil, Isadora. Isadora, it's really good to have you on the show today because it's a really important time for Brazil, right? In terms of iGaming, in terms of sports betting, the lot. A really pivotal time, a real crossroads, and on the brink of real opportunity as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hello, guys. Hi, Ted. Hi, Joe. I'm really happy to be here. It was a long flight. I'm still tired, but it's really nice to be here. I mean, I love London, apart from the weather, but I love it. It's really nice to be here as well because Brazil is huge. And we just saw the most recent, almost fully regulated market come out in Latin America, which is Brazil. So it's really exciting, and I believe we will see many good things coming in Brazil for us, and regarding sports betting and online casinos. So let's see.
Wholeheartedly agree. And sort of before we get into that, Isadora, I do want to pick your brain because you are here from the other side of the world. So I want to ask you, how do you find London? Do you find it okay? Like, what do you look forward to doing when you venture to London?
Well, I'm really happy. It was my first time last year here in London, and I couldn't see much. So today, this time, I'm extending a little bit, so I'm staying until Saturday night, so I'll be able to see a bit. I love London. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. There's so much history. It's just so cold and so grey, but it's lovely. I love here.
Yeah, that's how you end up with complexions like me and Ted, this London weather. What are you doing with your weekend in the capital? Are you, anything planned? Anything?
Well, Lucia Gando, the editor of SBC Noticias, is going to be here as well, but she's staying till Sunday. So we're going to go around, maybe do some tours. We just heard that you have like a Jack the Ripper or something, and we're really excited. Like, I really want to go there and see what's going on. So yeah, probably London Eye as well, and just see some sightseeing.
Nice. I look forward to catching up with you next week, hopefully on the show, and you can tell us all about the Jack the Ripper tour. Yeah. It's a crazy time, but sounds good fun anyway. And speaking of the UK, Ted, I know you had a story last week on, we are in a general election year. I know you had a story last week on open banking and AI and why it's a foremost priority for the, should we say, surging Labour Party? Would that be accurate to say surging Labour Party?
Yeah, I think so. They've definitely been doing better in the polls, haven't they?
Yeah.
They seem to be having a bit of a rebound after quite a few years of political struggle, yeah. But what's interesting is that at the moment the UK government under the Conservatives are putting quite a heavy emphasis of their financial policies on technology development. Technology development. Rishi Sunak's always been quite a big fan of fintech and the finance sector, and now Labour have put out their own financial policy last week, which also focusing quite heavily on the development of AI and development of open banking. Obviously, I think this would be something that's of interest to people attending ICE and to the industry at large, because of how much significance open banking is taking on in the gambling sector, really. This is something we've talked about a million times on iGaming Daily before, isn't it? I think of how many more operators are looking to it for more seamless payments, and also specifically regarding the UK, to do with the white paper and open banking's importance to affordability checks as part of that. So I think it's quite interesting that both political parties, despite their obvious differences, seem to be focusing quite heavily on these two technologies in their financial policy.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you say that, because I think we've heard about the potential being touted for a long time. As you mentioned, it's something we've spoken about quite a lot. But that ceiling sort of needs to be raised, and it needs to be found. I think there's a lot of untapped potential with open banking that operators just aren't getting to grips with yet. I don't know why that is. It's a tricky one, and maybe a key party, a leading party, a party that gets into power, putting it at the forefront of their policy and really making it a focus, will lead to more operators tapping into it, not just for the faster withdrawals, but also, as you say, for the affordability checks and being able to break down barriers in terms of gaining a wider and more in-depth financial picture of a player, without having to get things like mortgage statements, bank statements, that type of thing that's really intrusive. Because I think that's what's going to be key for operators with the new regulation, is being able to implement affordability checks without being intrusive, because that really does scare away customers, right?
That's the thing that a lot of operators are worried about. Yeah, they're worried that if the term we often hear getting bandied about is frictionless, isn't it? We want the ideal way to check. Well, they're not called affordability checks in the white paper, either. They're called finance risk checks, is how they've branded it. The ideal solution is they want one that's really frictionless, it's very smooth, seamless, and that can prove that someone is financially stable enough to place their bets without it being overly intrusive. And that's they're worried. A lot of operators, I think, are quite concerned that if customers are suddenly asked to provide pay slips and bank statements and mortgage statements, they're going to say this is going too far, this is my personal information, this is my personal life, and potentially be driven away from the regulated industry. That's the main concern.
I think that is the concern, right? They will then be driven to the black market, where there's less emphasis on these type of checks, and that's a real danger for sure. And to take it, to jump back on a plane and to move away from London. And we are in London for the next few days, but I do imagine much of the discussion in London will be about Brazil. Isadora, you're over from Brazil to London, probably to talk a lot about Brazil, and I'm going to ask you to do this to kick things off in that way, if that's okay. And a little period of reflection, actually. How big a moment was it when iGaming was included on that bill? Because it was very much in the balance for what felt like a long time.
Well, it was included before, when the Chamber of Deputies drafted the bill. Then they sent to the Senate for vote, and they removed it from the bill. Then it went back to the Chamber of Deputies because they drafted the bill, so they have the final word on it. And they included it again, and then sent it to Lula. Lula signed the bill and turned into the law 14790. But it's important to mention that before saying how important it is to have online games regulated in Brazil, is that what is the definition of online games in the law, and what the law says about what games and what types of betting are being regulated. So the law says, and it's very specific about it, that fixed odd games are being regulated in Brazil. Some casino games they don't consider as a fixed odd game. So, for instance, jackpots wouldn't be considered as a fixed odd game, so it wouldn't be included in the law. That therefore people wouldn't be able to explore this game and to offer to their players in Brazil. So there's a bit of confusion in there. We don't know exactly which games can we play. And the same goes for some reality TV shows that we have in Brazil. Like, okay, sports betting is regulated and fixed odds sports betting is regulated, actually. But are betting on reality TV shows, sports betting as well, is considered fixed odds, is considered sports. What's going to happen? Esports is included as well, but they are not they are not subject to the same rules as the sports betting section. So it's a bit of a confusion right now. We don't really know. What we know is that the law says fixed odd games and sports, and they mention online casinos. They don't mention the word they mention online games, but they don't mention online casino games.
So live casinos, whether that falls in.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We still need to. When I say it's not fully regulated, it's because it's not. I mean, we took the first step, but we still need to have some law ordinances to be published regarding responsible gambling, advertising. We have already one that talks about the general rules every operator needs to follow in order to be able to operate in Brazil. But we still need so much to be published and to see what's going to happen, that we don't know exactly how big will be the online game section in Brazil.
Yeah, and I guess how much operators are allowed to innovate as well, how much that's stifled by the regulation.
Exactly.
Like you mentioned the jackpots there, but I've got to ask you, is there going to be a big, because you mentioned it, is there a potential big market for reality TV betting in Brazil? What are the big shows?
Well, our biggest show in Brazil is Big Brother. We have Big Brother Brazil.
Okay.
We call him BBB. That's how we call it, BBB. And it's huge in Brazil, seriously. It's the most watched TV show in Brazil. It's huge. Way. And people bet who is going to leave next week, who's going to win the leaders test, or I don't know how do you say it in English, but it's a big show, and we don't know if they're going to allow that, because a lot of operators offer this type of bet in their website. It
sits in the sports book, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
it's in the sports book, like politics. It will be considered like legal as well as betting on football or basketball games? We don't know yet, because we need some more clarity in the law. We have the law, we have everything there, but we don't have like the specialties, the details that says exactly how the operators can really operate in Brazil. But
you need to
online games is a good step. It was a good thing that happened. We just need to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction, and hopefully the teething problems will sort themselves out, and hopefully you can send me a link to Brazilian Big Brother as well, because I would love to watch that. It sounds fantastic.
That's interesting.
Ted, what do you make of the Brazilian market? You're a stalwart of the UK market now. You've watched it mature. What do you make of the Brazilian market? And I guess how big and how important do you think the payment journey will be within Brazil?
I like how you called me a stalwart of the UK market. This is if I've been watching it develop since 1960. I'm not that old, man. Come on. But no, yeah, Brazil is obviously, the opportunity, as we've just discussed, is vast. It's going to be one of the biggest markets in the world. It's going to be the biggest in Latin America. But yeah, as you said, with the payments journey, the opportunities that are there, they're not just present for operators, of course. Like, there's a huge, as you can see if you just look around ICE right now, if you look around any SBC conference for that matter, the betting and gaming ecosystem is huge, and that includes a lot of payments companies, it includes ID verification companies, it includes people helping with AML, and we talked about AI earlier. That's becoming quite a big thing in detecting problem gamblers and assisting with that sort of element of the payments journey. So all of those companies will then have interests in the Brazilian market, which I believe Isadora is 134 companies. Is it a registered interest?
Yeah,
in the market?
The first list that we have is 134 companies, including a lot of international companies, are interested in obtaining a license to operate.
And then, of course, that means these 134 companies who want to service Brazilian customers, there's then going to need to be various payments firms, various B2B
Definitely.
firms to then service them. Obviously, the other big thing to consider payments-wise, though, in Brazil is PIX, isn't it? It's the
Yes.
the national payment system. And you've noted a lot of international operators coming in. If you look at the ones coming in from Europe, they're going to be used to very different payment systems to PIX. They're used to more sort of traditional banking methods. So that's going to be a bit of an interesting change of environment for them, I think.
Definitely.
Although obviously these companies have a lot of this international experience, I'm sure they'll be able to do that quite seamlessly. But it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
I think
100%.
Through adopting local knowledge, through gaining boots on the ground, SBC Summit in Rio will be a perfect opportunity for that, for sure, for many operators. I think that's how you get ahead. I think that's how you make the strides. You understand the local market, like you say, and as we mentioned, payments. I think if it becomes competitive, which I'm sure it will, it's going to be everybody's going to try and get ahead. Every operator's going to really try and get a little head start. I think a fast payment process and a smooth user experience, that is one of the key assets that will set operators apart. Yeah, and I think to sort of round off, we are at ICE, and it is going to be a hot topic this week. But just from you guys, I just want to hear one sort of burning question that you're looking to get answered, or you're looking to investigate further over the next couple of days. You both look very fresh-faced. You both look very energised. It's not going to be the case on Thursday. You're going to be tired. You're going to be exhausted. But hopefully you'll be filled with knowledge. And one burning question that you're sort of looking to investigate and get answered over these next couple of days.
I think
take your time if you want.
Yeah, I think for me probably there'll be something to do with open banking for the payment side of things. How much is this going to progress? How much more is the industry going to adopt it? What has its full potential, as we discussed earlier, like for the industry been fully realised yet? And what more can we do to tap into that? I think it's going to be quite an area of interest for me.
Well, I think what we want to know, and it's really hard to know, but we want to know that when we will have like the first portarias to come, like the portarias we say, but the first law ordinances that will come out that will set the pace of the market in Brazil.
Okay.
It's really hard to know because it's the government. They are doing it. It's the Minister of Finance responsible for this. But as operators and providers are intending to establish their companies in Brazil and to grow in the country, it will be interesting to know like when we can we expect to see those law ordinances to be published, because we are expecting to have like 12 law ordinances to be published still. So when is this going to happen? When will be the final one? When will the market will be completely regulated? And how operators can do that, if they can operate already with the license, even though the law ordinances are not ready yet. When the licenses are going to be given to the companies. So there's a lot of questions that we have a part of the market regulated, but what's next? What operators need to do in order to actually have right now like a license, and how long this is going to take.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think for myself, I'm trying to discover a little bit more about multiplayer slots, what that entails, and just gain some deeper insight into slots innovation. And before I let you go, Isadora, you can settle a debate that was had round a pub table last night for us. We were talking Ronaldinho, we were talking Brazilian football. And I think for the older heads, he's very much a face of Brazilian football.
Yeah.
In terms of active players, with Neymar in Saudi Arabia, I mean, he might still be the guy, but who is the face of Brazilian football? I pitched Anthony. I thought it could be Anthony, and he could. He's a few assists. He's had a couple of assists. He might be the guy, but in reality, who is that guy now? I just don't know.
Wow, that's interesting. Brazil is very famous for exporting so many talents in football. Neymar, as long as, even though he's in Saudi, he's still like the player, like for good or for worse. People are talking about him all the time. I think he's the most target footballer that we have in our country.
He's the guy.
He's the guy, yes, definitely. We have so many good players. Like I mentioned, Anthony, we have so many other young players as well. They're coming out right now, and they're being very... they're talents, actually.
Yeah.
But I would say that today, like, as Ronaldinho was, as Pelé was, Neymar. Like, you cannot, like, think about someone else. Like, even if when you go abroad and you ask people, like, what do you think about Brazilian players? Oh, Neymar? Oh, Neymar football. Neymar is always about Neymar. So... And he's great, actually. We cannot say that he's not. Like, he's a very good footballer.
And he's retained the star power even going to Saudi Arabia.
Yes, definitely, he does. He has a very strong presence in Brazil. Very strong. Even though he's not there, he has a very strong presence.
That's really interesting.
But Ronaldinho is the guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I had them boots. You remember the Ronaldinho golden white boots? I had them. Yeah, he's a legend. So we're going for Ronaldinho over Neymar. But
definitely.
Thanks ever so much, guys. I appreciate your time. I will let you tackle the jungle that is the exhibition floor and get out there and discover some stuff.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.